What's up guys, the Kaijudo channel here, and guess what? This video is going to be my very first Q&A video. You guys got me to 500 subs, and you guys deserve a Q&A. I asked you guys to send me your questions, and I'm going to answer pretty much all of them. If maybe a couple I left out, but I'm going to answer most of the questions that I got on my YouTube video. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one, which is Stents the Boss. So he has two questions. First of all, what is your favorite Civ in Kaijudo so far? I always think that's a really hard question for me because I love playing every Civ. But personally, I've always liked Fire. I mean, Fire is really cool. I've liked Fire ever since Duel Masters started. I mean, when I played as a kid, like I always liked Shobu. Shobu was my idol kind of thing. Because I watched the show and I thought he was funny and awesome, and he'd always win with fire cards, and I thought that was cool. But of course, you know, water's always awesome too. Glurgle's probably my favorite card ever in Kaijudo. I just love Glurgle so much. And so fire and water are definitely my two favorite civs so far, and they'll probably stay that way for the rest of the game. And secondly, what kind of deck do you think will be some or the most dominant decks after Rise of Duel Masters comes out? So, Hyperspeed Dragon, that is a big card that's coming out in that set. It pretty much gives your armored dragons fast attack as they enter the battle zone, and there is a load of armored dragons coming out in base set. I mean, there's Morna, the one who could attack untapped creatures, and then we already have all the Tatsurions, and it's coming out with more. Tatsurion the Unchained, Lord Skycrusher. I mean, the Morna promo, there's just so many armored dragons that are coming out, and Hyperspeed Dragon is just slowly becoming an even better and better and better and better card. So he's definitely like one of those huge threats. And, you know, Tornado Flame is going to be one of those key cards to get rid of him. Also, I think that Dawn Control will be easily one of the best decks when it comes out, because Keeper of Dawn right here, this is the card that gets you a spell from your graveyard. And right now, we don't really have any major impact spells with just the dojo and the battle decks. I mean, Terror Pit's awesome and stuff, but most of the stuff that we have are just kind of like one-for-one effects. But with base set coming out, there's going to be Skull Shatter, which your opponent discards their whole hand. There's going to be Barrage, which banishes all your enemy 2,000 or less creatures. There's going to be Stormspark Blast, which taps all your enemy creatures. There's going to be a lot more high-impact spells that do more than just focus on one thing. They kind of like spread out and do a lot of things at once. So I think that using Keeper of Dawn to get back those cards is going to be something really brutal, especially Skull Shatter. I mean, like, you're going to lose your hand every time. It's really, really brutal stuff. So that's just one of those decks that you really have to keep an eye out for, because that's going to be really, really good. Squells47 asks, how do you feel Wizards and Hasbro are handling Kaijudo so far, as with the TV show and the card game? I've said this a lot of times before. I think they're doing an excellent job marketing this game. They're kind of just learning from what happened to Duel Masters and then just applying it to Kaijudo to be way, way, way better than Duel Masters was, and kind of just avoid the chance of the game canceling again. I mean, the show, I heard it's been doing really, really well. There's going to be commercials coming out soon, probably when base set comes out. It's going to hit retail stores, Walmart and Toys R Us and stuff like that. I think they're doing a really great job. Their site looks amazing. They're just doing a lot of things that the original Duel Masters game didn't do, and with all that said and done, I think they're going to go really, really far, and this game's going to be one of the best games ever. Team Autopilot 3 asks, what is your favorite Duel Masters or Kaijudo card art and why? Guess I'm going to have to go with Gillick Flame so far in Kaijudo. I know this is also Duel Masters art because it was like the DM18 art of Power Fighter Magnus, but this card just looks so cool. I mean, like, even putting the hollow, shiny effect aside, it just looks really awesome. Gillick Flame is a pretty dang cool creature. And I already showed Glurgle, but I've always loved Glurgle. I mean, I don't know if his art is really the best thing in the world, but I think Glurgle's the cutest thing ever, and he's so funny. So George88 with a 3 on the first E asks, what do you think are the biggest differences between Duel Masters and Kaijudo? Well, if you may have noticed or not noticed or whatever, the game is a little bit more slower than the original game. A lot of cards are one level higher than the original counterpart, like Bolt Tail being level 8 instead of Twin Cannon 7, Terror Pit being 7 instead of 6, etc. So the game is a little bit slower. It's not that much slower, but it just is a little bit. Also, the main fact that you can only play 3 of a card instead of 4 makes a huge difference. I mean, you could have made a deck of 4 copies of 10 different cards, and you could call that a deck. But now, since it's lowered down to 3, and we still have to have 40 cards in a deck, you have to be a little bit more smarter and make better decisions about what you have to put in your deck. Also, the fact that searching has not really come to light in this game makes it even harder to actually get the cards you need. I mean, in Duel Masters, we had tons of search cards. We had Dimension Gate, Crystal Memory, Forbos, etc. And it was a lot easier to piece our deck together and get the cards we need in the game. But now, since we only have 3 of each card and no search, I mean, the closest thing we have to search is Glurgle right now, because you get to look at the top 4 cards and you have more options. But because of that, it's a lot harder to draw into what you need, and I think it's definitely a lot more skill-intensive as a game. Red Raptor 10 asks 2 questions. First one, are you going to do a video about the Kaijudo TV show, and or will you review it? Yeah, I haven't watched the show yet. I've been way too busy. I have so many things to do. I mean, I'm making these videos for you guys, which already takes up quite a bit of time. I go to work. That takes like 50 hours of my week right there, going to work, getting back, working, etc. And, you know, getting duels in with other people, that takes time as well. I really don't have that much free time on my hands at the moment. I mean, weekends, sure, I do have quite a bit of things I have to do, but I still have a lot of time. But as far as weekdays go, I get home, I make a Kaijudo video, and then I have, you know, 2-3 hours to spare. I really don't have that much time. So, it's funny that you mentioned it, though, because on Saturday, August 18th, in Canada, they're actually going to be starting airing the Kaijudo show. At least I think it's going to be a premiere, kind of like what the original Kaijudo show did. They're going to play the first 3 episodes, and I'd much rather watch it on big TV than on online on the hub or whatever. So I guess I'll get more into the show by, you know, watching it here in Canada because it's finally out here. And as far as reviewing it, I don't see why not, I guess. We'll see. And number 2, how do you feel about OCTGN and playing Kaijudo online? Well, I'm perfectly fine with it. It's, you know, a very efficient way of actually being able to play the game with people around the world. I mean, people outside of North America don't particularly have easy access to the cards, so playing online is a lot easier to do. But I know you're probably asking this because of the whole, you know, Kaijudo online game and what do you think's going to happen there and stuff. And, well, I can honestly say that Kaijudo, I seriously believe that they're going to find some way to get this online game multiplayer. I think they're going to be working really hard to do this. Considering the rest of the world doesn't have access to the card game except for through their website playing with the AI and stuff, I definitely could see that possibly happening. And so for now, I guess OCTGN is a great alternative and stuff. And I'm sure a lot of people will still use it after Kaijudo releases some sort of multiplayer thing, but yeah, I really don't care either way. It's awesome to be able to play online with other people. That's pretty much the point. Matt Incognito asks, what do you think will happen as far as tournament structure and prize support? When, what, how, etc. The game is slowly progressing. It's still in its early phases, so tournaments right now are kind of not really a thing. I mean, even when base set comes out, there is going to be Kaijudo League, but that's still not necessarily tournaments. So League is just, you know, you show up to your local store and you play games and stuff, and you earn achievements, get points, and then you get promos and stuff. But I believe maybe in 2013... you know, give it some time, let the Evo Fury come out and stuff, and then we'll actually see organized play actually come into light, and we'll be able to see a lot more tournaments and stuff. It'll obviously start off as locals and stuff, basically until maybe Kaijudo has at least 4 or 5 sets, I would say. I don't think they're going to go too crazy with tournaments until, like, early to mid 2013 is probably when they're going to start doing like official tournaments. Prize support, I mean, of course nothing will ever beat Magic the Gathering since that's like the oldest card game ever and they have the biggest prize pools ever. But I could easily see it matching or maybe even doing better than, let's say, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, for example. I mean, they're not like thousands of dollars or anything like that, but it's still really, really good prizes that they're giving out. So I think Kaijudo will be able to match that easily, you know, giving them a few years or so, and then they'll be able to match that. And Magma Dragon 92 asks a very similar question. Do you think there will be a Kaijudo World Tournament? I don't see why not. I think that'll definitely happen. I mean, every card game is doing it. I mean, Vanguard, I think, has only been here in English for, I want to say, a little bit more than a year or so, and they actually have a World Tournament coming up this year, later in the year, I think. So I could easily see Kaijudo doing the same thing. I don't want to jump the gun and say they're going to actually do it in 2013. I think that might be a little bit too early, but don't quote me on that. I think definitely 2014 though, that's like absolutely guaranteed that there'll probably be some sort of world championship tournament, and I honestly think that would be one of the funnest tournaments ever. It seems like a really good idea, and I personally can't wait for that. Alright, Thunder Sultan says, here's my question. Hydrabot Crab or Writhing Bone Ghoul? That is easily the toughest question ever. I mean, I support both of them. They are both like the best cards ever in the game. I don't want to root for one or the other. I'm just going to put it at that. They're both really awesome. But just to make you guys happy, I'll go ahead and go with Hydrabot Crab because he was the first one to come out and he's the best card ever. Hydrabot Crab. Yeah. Team Rage with Rage spelled wrong asks, when Epic Dragons of Hyper Chaos was the latest set, what was your favorite deck if you had one? Well, to be honest, I didn't really play the game when Epic Dragons came out. I actually got cards like kind of thrown at me. I never really went out of my way to buy Duel Masters. Maybe like a little bit of stuff like starters and like McDonald's toys and stuff like that, but I always got cards given to me, so I never really got to play with the Epic Dragons cards. But if I went back in time and I was actually playing during that time, I'd probably be playing some sort of Water Dark Fire control deck, because I think Apocalypse Vise was out by then, and so was Bomedia, Steel Dragon, and Energy Stream and all that. And I love Bomedia, Steel Dragon, so I'd probably be using some deck using Bomedius and Apocalypse Vise or stuff. Something like that, I don't know. Rogond09, is that how you pronounce that? Or Rogand? I have no idea, but Gorby asks, how do you keep doing this? Well, Gorby, the answer is simple. I do this for you!